Hello everyone and welcome to 1v1 with Boss Rush Games. I'm your host, Celeste. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Joe Wilson, aka Colonel Panic, co-host of Arsenal X and Xbox podcast, and occasional guest on Power Casual's A Destiny podcast. How are you doing tonight, Joe?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for making time during the holiday season to let me interview you and let people get to know another member of the Boss Rush Network.
I assure you, this is a break for me, so it is well welcome.
Oh gosh, okay, because I messaged you the day before we recorded. I was like, hey, is there time this week? And you're like, how about tomorrow? And I think you were like, secretly, oh man, I need a break.
Anytime I get to sneak down and kind of get a moment to myself, I definitely look for those opportunities. It's always that time during the holidays when it's just like someone needs something from the basement and I'm like, I'll go get it. And then I just stand down here in silence for like 5 minutes and then come back up and be like, I couldn't find it. It's always just like a nice little respite that you got to look for.
I heard I don't have any children, but I've heard that going to the bathroom can be a nice break.
Oh, I would disagree with that. Whoever told you that's lying, or they don't have my children. I cannot tell you in the past 5 years, because my oldest is 5, I can't tell you the last time that I've gone to the bathroom by myself. I don't think it's happened in at least 4 years. Every time I go in, it's just like, Daddy, what are you doing? Be like, I'm going to the bathroom. What are you doing? Be like, I'm going to hold your hand. And like my youngest will come and she'll hold my hand while I pee. And it's just like, this is awkward and kind of nice.
I'm helping.
I'm helping you pee. Thank you.
Joe and I were having such a fun conversation before we started recording. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to save all this gold for the recording. We were talking about The Office, Parks and Rec. We were talking about problems in football.
Something I'm not qualified to talk about, but I have an opinion just because I'm a human being.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having an opinion. There are things that go on in the NFL that make me very unhappy.
I have a Twitter account, so I can say whatever I want.
You have that power.
I have that power.
Now, is Twitter the only social media you use?
I have a Instagram. Technically, I'm on Facebook. Like my wife created my Facebook account for me.
No, she didn't.
She did. And I think oh God, I'm going to get in trouble, especially she's right above me. I'm sure she can hear every word. She created it, and I'm pretty sure she created it so that we could be in a relationship, because we were in a relationship. And I think that's why that happened. But like, I don't know how to. I mean, I know how to use it. I'm not like that old or anything where I'm incapable of using a computer. But just like when I go on there, it's just like, just like nonsense to me. It's just like, why is anyone going? Why are you wasting so much time on this? I don't know. I'll waste 10 hours on a video game for a day, but I won't go through and look at other people's photos or anything. Instagram, Twitter, mostly, as far as like social media.
Did you have a MySpace back in the day?
Oh, I did. I did have a MySpace, and it had 1,000 GIFs, and I'm sure it played music when you went there. What else? I had one of those. South Park used to have like the character creators, where you could make a South Park character look at yourself. I'm pretty sure if you were to find my MySpace page now, because I think it still exists. I don't know how to log into it anymore, but I think that's still my South Park character, a version of me from the time.
Who's your favorite South Park character for real?
Oh, crepes.
That wasn't on the topic list.
It wasn't. I would probably say one of two. So when I was younger, I used to like Randy, Stan's dad, because he was so like crazy and like weird. And now I like Randy because I relate to him the most, which I don't know like at what point in my life that transition happened. But it's like whenever Randy's doing something, I'm like, I get it. I get where you're going, Randy. So I would probably either say Randy or Towley, just because I really liked when they introduced Towley.
Oh, Towley.
If you would have caught me when I was probably like 16, I would have said Mr. Hanky. But I've grown grown out of my poo stage.
Freud would be proud, I guess.
I hope so. I worked really hard. There's a lot of therapy that went to get me out of that stage.
I remember, so I was born in the late 80s, and I remember when the South Park movie came out. I was a little kid, and I think our school, because I went to Catholic school, and they were trying to tell us, like, hey, parents, don't let your kids watch South Park.
Mm.
What did I do when I was in high school? Started watching South Park.
Oh yeah. So oh man, I was such a good in my high school, because I grew up, I think, in a very similar town to like South Park. Like it's in Pennsylvania, but it's just like a small little farming kind of mountain town. There's like my graduating class had like 86 people, I want to say. Like it's just super, super small. I was one of the few people that had a satellite dish, and I don't mean like a DirecTV satellite dish. I had a giant satellite dish in my yard that had to turn. You had to like put a code in to tell it what satellite to connect to, and you'd watch this whole thing turn in the yard. It was insane. Anyway,
Wow.
I would record South Park on VHS tapes and then make copies for all my friends that didn't have cable, because not everyone had cable. Like it's not even that they couldn't afford cable. It's just like you could not get cable. My mom still does not have high-speed internet
Is that
where she
because of
lives.
just the location?
Just the location. Yeah, she has like horses. She has like a horse farm. So she has like I think it's a 138-acre like farm, and she's the last person on every line. So like the last person on the phone line, the power line. So if like there was one time when we were growing up that the power went out, and I think the power was out for 4 or 5 days, like because like they have to fix literally everything until they finally get to my mom's house. So yeah, she's last on the chain for dial-up. So hopefully that Starlink Elon Musk internet, hopefully that'll be her saving grace. But yeah, it's rough. Her phone
I,
is the fastest thing there.
oh my gosh. So she's not thinking about, well, with horses, she's probably not looking at moving into a more
No,
city like
she
or suburban.
is she is a farm girl. She grew up on a farm. They had cattle and stuff, and she would not trade it for the world. She has said several times, quite morbidly, when she dies, she wants to be buried there. And I'm always just like, I don't know the legal ramifications if I can bury you here or not, let alone your ghost haunting whoever moves in after you. I don't want to deal with any of it. Be like, just so you know, my mom's buried underneath this foundation. Just so you know. Like, I don't want to. I feel like you would have to tell the second person that lives there.
Put it on the listing in really small font and see if
It's
you
a
can find
great deal. It's a lot of land. P.S. My mom lives here. She's dead.
it.
Yeah.
Did you ride the horses, or do you ride the horses?
I I am the antithesis of everything that I grew up with. So this will kind of lead into what we said. My dad was the training coach for the high school football team, and I did not partake. Uh, I was in the marching band,
Me
and
too. What'd you play?
I played the electric bass.
Wait, did we have this conversation in the Boss Rush chat?
We might have.
I
That's
don't. I don't know.
plausible.
We talked about a
Um,
lot of stuff in the Boss Rush chat.
the boss rush chat. I always like I'll like peep in for like a second and like be like, okay, I can't possibly get caught up, and then I have to like check back in later and be like, oh, we're moved past whatever we were talking about before. Um, I played electric guitar. So again, small town, no one wanted to play the tuba. I could play the electric bass. A friend of mine played the electric bass before me. So literally, someone would push an amp hooked up to a car battery behind me, and I would, with a wireless pack, play like the bass.
Amazing.
So I was definitely the coolest kid in the marching band, but that's not saying much. And my mom had horses, and I had a pony when I was younger. When I was probably like 6 or 7, I think they bought me like a pony. You hear about stories like that about kids. Is like, I want a pony, and like my parents, like I did not want a pony, and my mom's like, here's a pony, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this thing, and I rode it. And it was an old pony. Like I think they got me an old pony, thinking it's like, okay, well, if he's not interested in a couple years, it'll probably just pass on. And it'll also be docile, so it's not gonna like bite him or kick him or anything like that. Um, And that pony, I think, lived for 35 years. It was like super old pony. But I rode the pony, I think mostly just to like humor my mom. But as soon as I was too old to ride that horse, like I would say I'm capable of riding a horse. I'm not afraid of riding a horse, but I do not enjoy riding horses.
That's a lot of work your mom
It's
does.
oh my, she gets up, so she has a full-time job and she does this, like the horse stuff. So she gets up at I think like 4 or 5 every day. She has I think 5 dogs now. So she's just like an animal person. She gets up, does the horse stuff. My sister also is in like the horse industry, the equestrian realm. She does like training and stuff like that. But they're always buying horses. Little known fact: a lot of people don't want to keep their horses after they get them, and my mom will buy them for $1. She's like, we need to have a bill of sale, but they like literally just want to give the horse away because it's so much work and so much money goes into that stuff.
$1.
$1 all the time. I always she's like we bought it for $1, and be like, it's like she forces them to be like, no, I have to give you $1 for this horse, so that there's always like money changes hands. I think it's like an old farmer type thing that I'm sure some farmer somewhere bought a tractor and he's like, I'll give it to you, and then he got swindled out of it or something like that. And she's like, no, we got to have a bill of sale.
That's amazing. I feel like I need to do a 1v1 with your mom.
Oh man, if she could figure out how to get connected to Skype, it would be a good time. She would probably talk about me a lot, or my sister. Oh, she loves us.
That's a good mom to have.
She's a good mom. She is a good mom. She's definitely like an old-timey mom, but she's a good mom.
Oh. And since your dad was the football coach, did he ever try to coerce you into playing sports?
I feel like he figured it out by the time I was old enough that it wasn't going to happen. Like I was, so I was in the marching band. I was in like plays and musicals and stuff like that. And I think that, being honest, and again, like this is like my father type, but I'm pretty sure that he was always just like, I think he was disappointed. He's like, I think my son's gay. Like he was like one of those dads.
The old
It was like,
school.
oh yeah, really worried about stuff like that. So I think that I don't think he ever really pressured me. I felt pressure when I was younger, but before he's like, oh, if you're gonna play football, and I'd be like, I don't think I'm gonna play football. But then his buddy, who was one of the gym teachers at my high school, he would always try. He's like, oh, we gotta get Big Joe on the field. I'm like, oh no, we don't.
Big Joe.
I'm not like a big guy in any sense of the word. I'm like 5'9".
That's tall.
I would say it's okay. I feel short a lot of the time, but I can reach the top shelf in most department stores. So.
You should put that on your resume.
I can reach the top shelf
in most department stores.
I don't need a step stool. I may need a ladder.
Now, Big Joe, is that a nickname you enjoyed, or was it something that you couldn't stand?
Oh, I don't. Nicknames with me never really stick. So I've been called Slow Joe, and that was by my track coach.
How mean!
Oh no, he's an idiot, but he's nice. But it's because I was on the throwing team. Like I did like javelin and discus and shot put. Yep, the other one. So I did those mostly because up until that point, we were again small town. We would forfeit those matches because no one would play them. So I lettered in track doing almost no work whatsoever. Like just me showing up was enough for them because we didn't forfeit.
That's amazing.
So he'd call me Slow Joe. What else? Tojo Dancer, and Rambo. I don't know how I got Rambo, but people would call me Rambo.
Are you a gun fanatic?
I'm not. Oddly enough, Rambo in the first movie was not either. Have you ever watched the first Rambo?
I've never seen that.
You know, I don't want to force anything on you, but the first Rambo is legitimately a good movie. It's about a guy that comes back from war, and people make all these assumptions about how he's a loser or he's like this like dangerous person. And the whole movie, he is just avoiding conflict and everyone's getting hurt around him by them trying to stop him from doing nothing. It's really quite interesting.
It sounds really cool. That's Sylvester Stallone, right?
Yeah. So if you ever watch the first Rambo. I will say it's a good movie. All the other Rambos I can't speak for, but the first one is good.
Is that a genre you find yourself gravitating towards a lot, or are you a big movie person?
So I went to film school. Um,
Okay.
I always had dreams of doing movies and stuff, and I would say even to this day, I still like it still like spins in my brain. Like I'm a legal pad person. You see me doodling. You know, I love like taking notes. So I always have a book somewhere of ideas for something that I'm gonna do. I'm working on kind of an idea now that I think I can shoot, but it's always trying to scale with whatever I want to kind of do the most grand or involved thing with as little as possible. I love scrappy movies. So I like everyone's first movie. It's probably why I like the first Rambo. Feels like a very scrappy, creative movie. Um, uh, Robert Rodriguez, I don't know if he did,
Is it the House of the Dead?
no, he did the Desperado series. So
Okay.
there's a Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Okay. Okay.
But like this, it's a movie that he made like by shooting it on film, transferring it to VHS, and like it's shot very. It's like I love stuff like that. I love when when you commit to a larger idea, but you don't have the means to actually execute that larger idea, so you do it as creatively as possible. So I love stuff like that. But again, I just like anything that someone puts like care and craft into. So I'm constantly trying to find like where I can fit a movie idea into that. I feel like I need to make one movie in my life. That's one of my bucket list things. I want to make a movie. I want to go to space at some point, and I will be willing to stretch kind of what that actually is depending on what's available within my lifetime. And I want to build my own house.
Like you want to do it yourself. You want to cut the wood. You want to lay
Yeah,
down.
yeah. I would like to do as much of that as possible. I have a few plans for a house that I would like to build. It's just being able to have enough money to actually build it the way that I want it without compromising too much, and also have the time. Like I want to be involved in making everything. So this way, if something's wrong, like I know that I did it, or I know how to fix it. I like the process of building something because then I feel like I know it very intimately.
Wow. So do you build stuff pretty regularly, or?
I I tinker. I 3D print a lot, so I will 3D print things and constantly thinking about. So I do a lot in. I'm not good at 3D modeling at all, but I spend a lot of time in. Cripes. What is that program I use anymore? It's like an AutoCAD program. Uh, Fusion 360. So I tinker in there as much as possible. But I am fascinated with how things are made and how things will work. I would say I'm not an expert in any. I'm a very all over the place, like jack of all trades, master of none type person.
Wait, that means you have a lot of interest.
I have a lot of interests. I feel like I have, to a certain degree, like some form of attention deficit disorder because I will bounce a lot, but I do know a little bit about everything, I think, or
That's
most
really
things.
cool. Yeah, like I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because this is the first time I officially meet you, actually, and I was like, oh gosh, I hope that he's okay with talking about himself and everything. And we have not like you guys. I always make a little topic list, and this has been so much fun. Just I've even added some stuff to the topic list based on our pre-recording conversation. That's awesome. I think it's really important, and you probably agree because you have a lot of hobbies. I think it's really important for people to have multiple identities, and I don't mean
Mhm.
like in a psychological sense. I mean you're a dad, you're a husband, you are a son, you're employed, you're a podcaster, but you also like to film, you like to be creative.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
I
think it's really important.
I think that when I was in school, I never liked school. I don't know whether it was the environment. Again, small town band geek, like we got picked on a lot. We were pretty much the target most of the time. Any like time a different group of people was together. Um, but I never liked school. I didn't really like anything, and I did very well. I don't. I think I always had straight A's. It was something that just kind of came pretty easy to me, but I didn't like going to school at all. And it wasn't until probably like the internet really took hold of like I would say my life. The internet was fairly new when I was in high school. Like it was there, but like no one really I don't think realized kind of the potential that was there, or at least I didn't. And it wasn't until more like podcasts and resources came available that like I love learning. Like I love learning about stuff. And I feel like that's one thing that people really need to like find what you're interested in and just learn as much as you can absorb about it. Like and then once you if you tire of it and you don't like it anymore, like great. You have that stored away and then find something else that you can be passionate about, even if it's for a little bit. I love there's so many great podcasts and like Audible, like audiobooks. Like I'm just like thinking back of all the times I struggled trying to read a book for a book report or something. And like now with like any of my kids, I'm like, if you guys need to read a book, I will download the audiobook for you. Whatever's if you like reading, awesome. But if you have trouble reading, like you should get the audiobook and actually absorb that information so that you're not just trying to like get the cliff notes and like skirt your way through getting like the A, which like so many people did. And to me, it just never made sense. Like, why are you pretending like you have this information? And I get like if it's difficult, but if it's difficult, like you need to find another way to get that information, and that's more the teacher's job, which I feel like not a lot of teachers are either equipped for or like have the resources to do stuff like that. But that's where learning is different. That's the one thing I think that's going to come out of this pandemic that's positive. Is just like there are kids that are being homeschooled right now, and I get that's not ideal for everybody, but there are some kids that that's probably better for. And now that that's like kind of normalized a little bit, I hope they get the opportunity to continue to learn in an environment that's like well fitted for them.
Yeah, their own pace.
Their own pace, their own resources, their own comfort level. I've been wearing sweatpants for the past 7 months. I cannot go back to an office.
I don't
Just
miss
can't.
it.
I can't do it. I just I don't know. I don't have it in me. I went into our office the other day and finalized closing it out a couple weeks ago. So officially we are office free. So now I don't have to worry about it for at least a while. Like we'd have to like find a new place and start a new lease, and that would have to be after all this is over. So I'm pretty sure I'm in the clear.
Oh my gosh, so your company's doing the same thing my company did,
Just
where we had an office,
mhm.
then we started working from home. We went back for a few weeks in the summer, and then hey, this virus is still happening. Some people in the office had it, so we were right back to working from home. And they decided to save some money, sell the building. Let us. Is that what y'all are doing?
Mhm. We had a super small like we I work for like a website, and whenever I started working there, first off, I went from working in like I used to work for Apple as a technician, and went from doing that to working this other job that I have now. Mostly took it because it was a 9 to 5 job. Like it was Monday through Friday, regular schedule. I got a salary, meaning like I just get a paycheck every month that's just like a standard paycheck and I don't have to clock in or clock out. And I was about to have a child. So I was like, I need some stability in my life and this will be great. And then as soon as I started working there, I was just like, why do we have an office? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, there's 7 people in this office building, and I don't understand why we can't do any of this from home. And like, it just, no one wanted to, I think, make a decision. So as soon as the pandemic started, me and another friend that I have working with me in the office, we went to like the one other manager and we're like, I think we should just start working from home until this blows over. And then it just never blew over, and we called it quits, and it's been so terrific. I think it's like getting a bonus almost. Like I don't have to pay for gas now. I saved at least 2 hours of travel time every day. I would say outside of like all the negative stuff around it, the office in particular going away is a huge win.
I don't miss random interruptions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't miss. I have a very laid back boss. He's someone who, as long as your work's done, I don't care what else you're doing.
That's the best kind of boss.
Like, oh my gosh. I mean, think about, maybe they're going to catch on to this, Joe, but if it's not busy, why do I need to be in the office?
You don't. That's the secret. I will expose another very deep secret that I have. It's not that much of a secret, but my job requires maybe 50, I would say, let's say go to 80% of my focus for maybe 2 hours a day. Other than that, I just have to be available,
Yeah.
if stuff happens. So what I do is I will get on, usually a little early, knock out any of the backlog of stuff that's happened overnight that people have asked me questions about or I need to focus on, do as much of that work for the first 2 hours of my day, and I kind of just blow through that as much as possible, and then I sit on my Xbox and play video games until someone says that they need me. And
Uh,
I do that every day now. And that's another thing that's just like, I don't really care for my job. I don't like the fact that I'm not engaged. Like my brain, I think it hungers for focus. Like I need something that I can keep turning, which is why it's great to have video. Because otherwise, if I was in the office, I would be watching YouTube videos on people making things out of resin or something like that. So I need something to be engaged. And now it stinks because if I were to find a new job, I'd be like, yeah, but I get to play video games with this
yeah.
job, and I don't think that's going to be hard to replace.
You have you have a lot of free. I think I talked about this with Corey before. I wonder sometimes, I'm like you, where, gosh, I would love to be doing something super creative, but that can be a double edged sword because whenever you start making money or relying on your passion project, ew, it can really feel like work. I don't know.
My goal with, and this is like one of my New Year's resolutions. I have a list of a few things that I want to accomplish next year. Now, given the fact that I have this renewed, I would say free time is probably not the right word, but like definitely empowered,
Flexible time,
flexible time.
flexibility.
Um, but like I definitely need to find another source of income, ideally with something that is a creative passion of mine. But I am going to take the time that I'm employed right now doing another job to explore that a little bit more deeply and hopefully find a way to get to a point where I would like to be making enough money doing that thing and this other thing that I'm so stressed out that I have to choose which one I'm going to go with, and then it should be an easy decision.
Yeah, I hope that can happen.
Me too. I don't know if that's a pipe dream or not, but I feel like it's plausible. As long as I don't waste that flexible time when I have it, I feel like it's plausible. But we'll see. Well, hopefully this next year we'll find out what happens. Worst case scenario, a year from now I'm still employed and I get to play video games in my spare time, which is not a bad place to be in.
No, that's not a bad place to be. Now, would you want to do something with films or building things? You
I
think
think
like what are you kind of thinking of? I want to know what your resolution is.
I think all of the above. So I'm a sci-fi geek. It's weird. Growing up, I remember always watching the Sci-Fi Channel and being like, these shows are so cheesy, and like, and be like, and like almost wanting to make fun of that genre in its core. And now I am one of those people that will watch sci-fi movies and be like, yeah, the effects aren't great, but the concept is pretty interesting of what they're going for here. And like I love stuff like that. I have a few resolutions in front of me. I can feel free to share.
I want to know if you're willing to share. I want to
Oh
know.
yeah, I'm fine. So I'm in the middle of building a set of Halo armor
What?
for yeah. I have parts of it done, but it's been in kind of like this like I spend a couple hours on it when I have it, but it is something that there's a lot of time. And I'm a pretty meticulous person, so I've actually started over at least 4 or 5 times being like, oh, the process I'm using isn't quite right, or the model that I'm using wasn't good, or I didn't finish it properly. So I learned early on that instead of trying to course correct after you've made a mistake like multiple times, just like maybe it's better to just start over if it's not up to your standards and just focus on like starting from scratch. You need to be able. It's a great skill for anybody that doesn't know how to do it. You need to know when to throw in the towel and start over. And the earlier you can do that, the easier it is. I would say don't give up, but if you need to start over, do it as early as possible.
Oh, there's a quote that's like, "Don't hold on to a mistake just because you spent a long time making it."
100%. I had an art teacher growing up that would, if she could tell that I was struggling to make like to course correct something that's gone awry, she would just like mark up the paper. She's like, you should just start over. And you would get disappointed at first and be like, oh, I was so, but like after a while, it's like, oh, it's less time to just start over than it is to keep trying to fix this mistake that ultimately I'm going to be unhappy with. So
Wow.
I feel like now I've gotten a pretty good groove. The pieces that I'm pumping out are like, I would say, pretty high quality. Anyway, so I that's one of my goals. I want to build a full set that is uh, like a hero piece, I guess you would call it. Like if I get it on film, I want to go up close and from as many angles as possible, and I want it to look authentic, like of world. I don't want to like. I would say this is nothing. There's nothing wrong with cosplay. I love the concept of cosplay. I am too uh, in my head to be able to do that myself. I'm too self-conscious, I guess you would call it. However, like I would say, I'm going well beyond the cosplay quality standard. Like it can't just look good in a picture. I need to be able to take the helmet off, and when I look inside, I want it to feel real. I want anybody that picks it up to be like, "Oh, what is this made out of?" I don't want them to know it's like, "Oh, it's just foam and plastic." So I want to build a very accurate, detailed Halo armor. I have an idea for either a short or I don't want to say web series because I sound like everybody that's on a podcast, but I uh, I've become something that I always feared I would. I have an idea for something that I want to shoot using the armor that I build. I guess it would be like Halo fan fiction, so to speak. But I want to create something like that. Whether this year, whether I just write that and fully like storyboard it, so that it's like, oh, I now have a plan to shoot it, or if I get to the point this year that I could shoot it. But I would say that's a little ambitious. I would say most of the year is probably going to be spent building the armor and then writing, fleshing out my concept. Uh,
Amazing.
I have an idea for I would say like a kid's book. I said I did air quotes for anybody that's listening. Uh, it, it's not really a kid's book, but it's a play on an Eric Carle book, the Hungry Caterpillar.
Yes, the very hungry caterpillar.
But I would say it's more of an okay. Anytime I use the word adult, I instantly think something like X-rated. It's not like that. It's just definitely kids would get it, but it's not as child friendly. But I have an idea for a play on that, so I would like to write a kid's book.
Hmm.
Um, and then outside of that, it's like personal goals I have is I want to stream more. Streaming is something that I used to do a lot before the pandemic happened, and then when Mixer shut down, I used to stream on Mixer. When Mixer shut down, and then we had like kind of the pandemic situation happen, I definitely lost that momentum to start over. I'm a video person, so putting some sort of ritual and video element behind me playing games, which is something else that I love to do, like it makes sense to me. So that's something that I want to get back into. I've been working on kind of like my setup again and putting up some soundproofing material so that I can stream later. Because again, kids and you can't. It's hard to like talk loudly when they're sleeping. Something I also want to get into, and the other one, my personal goal is I would like to get down to what I feel is my ideal weight and probably lose like 25 pounds over the course of the year. Uh,
Wow, that's I think that is very doable.
I I think it's doable. I've done it before, but again, like then I would say when you, I don't know if this is like this for everybody, but again, I found out once I have kids and you make them food and then they don't eat it, that you just eat their food.
Hmm.
And I don't know what gene it is that does that. Like I feel weird throwing it away, but then I also feel like gluttonous by like stuffing it in my face, and I can't find what the balance is. I guess make them less food. Uh,
Leftovers?
I get, but it's like stupid stuff. It's like a square of peanut butter and jelly. It's
Oh,
just like, what am I gonna? I can't put that. Like, I guess I could put it in Tupperware, but like, it just feels weird. It's easier to pop it in your mouth. It's like, oh, there's like 6 goldfish crackers. Guess I'll just eat them.
is there a
Uh,
certain like exercise routine you're interested in trying for the new year?
so I've been pretty good. I feel like my weight fluctuates like I breathe. Like I would say for me extremely heavy, and I've been very fit. And it's just like keeping that motivation strong is somewhat difficult. I do find that the Apple Watch helps me a ton with stuff like that, like having some sort of accountability that is infallible. Like it's just like, did you work out or didn't you? Because I'm going to give you a binary yes or no, and it's like I can't lie to that thing. Like it knows if I did or not. I have a treadmill that I usually get on for 30 minutes every day, but right now I would say I'm not consistent at it. I need to be more consistent at it, but I would say treadmill because I need this all has to be stuff that's accessible and easy for me to do in my home. And I'll do yoga every now and again. So I need to do that as well. In addition to just like I'm a vegetarian, but I love eggs. I eat eggs a lot. And it's so hard for me to get up in the morning and not just make like an egg sandwich, especially now that I don't have to drive into work. That is like that's something that I want to do every day. It's like I want to make 6 eggs, put it on a couple pieces of ciabatta, and
Mm.
just eat that thing.
Man,
Uh,
you're making me hungry.
oh yeah, uh, yeah. That's a tough thing for me. So anyway, so I need to be able to make better decisions in those moments and then also stay consistent with my workout. I would love to get a rowing machine at some point. Uh,
Oh
that would
wow.
be that's one of my ideal workouts, but I have to kill the treadmill first, which is another incentive to use it every day. As soon as that thing dies, I feel like I get to justify replacing it with something.
Aha! A
So
mercy kill.
it's a mercy kill. I loved it so much that I killed it.
I think YouTube has been such a boon for people right now with all the workout things on there. You
It
just have to find your channel that you like.
Yeah, so uh we have we're like an Apple household as an ex-Apple employee. Uh so we have Apple TVs on both of our TVs and there's so many options. And now Apple has their own workout thing. They have their own workout thing that you can like watch videos on your iPhone or the Apple TV for. So there is a lot of different options. The yoga that's how we've done the yoga. Me and my wife, when we do yoga, we just put on one of those apps or watch someone doing the video online, and it's so helpful. You just have to commit to doing it, and as soon as it becomes a part of a routine, you miss it when you're not doing it. Like I do find that when I'm working out regularly, I do feel better. And I don't mean just like feel healthier. Like I just feel more clear if I know that I've done that for myself today. Um,
Self care.
yeah. it sounds so cheesy, and you hear everybody else doing it, and I know that I will never be a, I don't know, insert famous fit workout person. I always think Jillian
I
Michaels.
was about to say that name.
That's the only one that comes to mind.
Oh,
With
what was the
Tony
guy?
Little,
The Afro?
Afro,
Richard Simmons?
Richard Simmons. I do not think about him as a he definitely is like one of the earliest fitness person. But like I guess I don't ever know if he's fit or not. I feel like it was always masked by the shorts and the shirt
Oh, yeah,
and the hair.
he's always theatrical, so it's kind of like, how can I focus on this workout
He
and
is
get
a funny
entertained?
guy. Have you ever listened to that podcast, that Missing Richard Simmons podcast?
No, is it good?
It's like a series, so it has like a definitive like end. But like Richard Simmons like just like vanished from the public eye, and it's about this like these group of people that like try to figure out what happened. It's very interesting.
He's alive, right?
He's alive, but
Okay.
I don't think he's been publicly seen in a very long time, short of like maybe like a blip here and there.
According to his Wikipedia,
Uh-huh.
during the COVID-19 pandemic, Simmons began to upload archival content to his YouTube channel, recorded before his decision to withdraw from public life to help people stay fit at home.
That's interesting. How
Yeah,
topical.
uh, I know. I mean, okay. Uh, I think being in the public eye, like, okay, not that you and I are famous. We're not on this scale of like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Maybe one day, as Corey would say, not with that attitude. But we are putting ourselves out there. Anybody can listen to these podcasts. But imagine if you're on that level, how exhausting would that be?
I think the concern that I would have is when I'm no longer in control of my own exposure. Like there's a to a certain degree, once you've engaged, I would say it absolutely comes with the monetary reward. Like that that I think that is the moment that it trades, is that you are no longer deciding how much of your content is necessarily out there. Content meaning like you,
Hmm.
and likewise how much, and you don't know how much interest that's going to garner, or how how people will react to seeing you that much, because then at a certain point like the public becomes enamored with you, and here in the United States we treat our celebrities like the royal family. Like those are the people that we idolize for the most part. And I feel like once you start to get to that level is when it's uncomfortable to go and do all the things that you would normally do. And not that I don't love going to the one of the best things that I've loved recently is getting all of my food, my groceries delivered. Words cannot describe how much it's so great to be able to place an order online, and then a few hours later it comes and I don't have to go to the store. But
Oh,
like I can't imagine, if I want to go to Target, I can go to Target. And I can't imagine like having a layer on top of that being like, if I want to go to Target, I can go to Target. It's like, what am I gonna have to wear? Who's gonna be there? Is someone gonna see me? Like, am I gonna have to interact with people that I don't want to interact with? Because do you how do you feel? Do you live where you originally grew up?
like I live in a town that's like 15 minutes away from my parents' house.
Okay.
So around the vicinity.
So there's this feeling that whenever I go home, and I only live an hour away from where I grew up, but if I go home and if I go to anywhere other than my mother's house, meaning the one store, which is a Walmart, or like there's a Shop and Save, if I go to any of these places to get something either for my mom or on the way, I will 100% run into somebody I know and have to have like a stop and chat with them that I don't want to have. And I can't imagine having that feeling if I went anywhere with strangers
In the world, anywhere in the world.
in the world, anywhere in the world. Yes, I can't. I mean, I can imagine it, and I can imagine that I won't like it. So like I get it, but
Uh,
I don't know. I also feel like it's a fair trade, which is why the internet version is so great because I'm fine with being at home. I like it here.
I know. Like I'm paying enough for this dang place. Let me
Might
enjoy
as well
it.
get my money's worth.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, but this is sort of related to what we're talking about. Are because you were asking about Richard Simmons and finding like missing Richard Simmons. There's a lot of stuff coming up about Britney Spears within the last few months.
Yeah.
Her conservatorship.
Wait, what's this one?
Her. So you remember, first of all, she's one I would not want her life. I feel especially maybe it's because I'm also a woman and I know how people can view us and talk about us and exploit us.
Hmm.
I mean, men, they can happen to men too. But think about how young she was when she started Mickey Mouse Club.
Yep.
And to be a pop star, she was sexualized from a very young age.
Very like uncomfortably so.
Yes. Oh man, I follow her on Instagram, and I'm always a little worried about her posts. Like I don't know, this is just observation. I'm worried about her. Something doesn't seem right. But you remember her breakdown in like 2007?
Hmm.
She shaved
Yep.
her head.
She like smashed her husband's car. Like there was
Oh,
something like that.
the paparazzi, they were ruthless. Like you're talking about going to a store and someone recognizing you. Can you imagine people constantly taking your photo?
I I'm a human being, so it's just like I can't imagine like every time I walk out of the house if I'm not looking well or it's like I fart in public or something like that. Someone be like, "Look at what that guy did." Can you imagine if someone like recorded video of me being disgusting in public? There would be a lot of videos of it.
And everybody does it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I know some people who say they never fart or burp around their significant others, and I'm like, that's painful. How do you hold that in all day?
Yeah, there's talk about if there's any type of uh thing that needs to be equal in the world, it's just like I don't do it like you're by yourself. I feel like there is a certain amount that's appropriate and like but like if you have to burp or fart, like just let it happen. Be considerate of it or make a joke out of it. But like it's got to happen.
I mean, it's not a good time. But I don't know. Okay, back to there's an episode of a podcast I listened to called "Stuff They Don't Want You to Know," and they recently did a very deep dive on what she's going through, and they emphasized what you said, Joe, like about celebrities. They're human beings. They are still people, and they just talked about her conservatorship, and I'm not a lawyer.
Oh,
I'm not.
it's like still her dad that
Yes, he is her guardian or protector appointed by a judge to manage her financial affairs and or daily life due to physical or mental limitations or old age. So I can't remember verbatim. I think she wants her sister Jamie Lynn to take over. I, I do worry about children. Okay, now it's YouTube, right? With these parents orchestrating their kids' episodes of opening presents or playing or whatever they're doing. And the kid, okay, I do understand if they're taking over the majority of the time, they're the management, they need to live. So maybe take a small cut. But the majority of that money, like 90% or something, needs to be going to that kid. So people are wondering if whether Britney's parents over time taken advantage.
I mean, I would say there's almost no doubt that it happened. It's just whether or not you would deem it taking advantage of. And I would say there's probably a line where that's true, but there's probably another line where it's an opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also whether or not, to be honest, is if she feels that way.
And yeah, and I can't call her up right now and say, "Yo, Brittany,
No,
yo,
but
girl,
like,
how you feeling about?"
but if she's in I would say at the very least, if she's in a legal battle over it, you can probably assume that she feels a little bit slighted because
Yeah.
I don't know. That's so. Did you ever watch? There's there's this weird thing that happens. I feel like I've talked about kids so much. I apologize. I never talk about my kids ever.
You love them. You love them.
So there's this thing that happens whenever in current day and age that you will give your child a phone or a tablet at any point just to keep the peace. You're going to be in a restaurant, you're going to be at somewhere where it's just like, just take this, I need a minute. It's going to happen. I never feel great about it, but it happens. And there's this thing that like the YouTube algorithm, kids don't know what to search for. So kids will put on one video and then it's instantly the next options or whatever is recommended. So the kids will watch the same stupid videos over and over again, and really they have no say in it. So first off, that's a topic. But the one weird thing is that then when you go out in public, you'll see other kids have tablets and they're watching the same GD videos that your kids are watching, and it's just like it's all one big loop. And then you feel okay inside. It's like, okay, I know it's garbage, but at least that kid's watching it and they look like they're doing okay. It's just like you're always trying to like judge and compare yourself just to be like, am I going too far here? But there's this one show that they watch called Ryan's World, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or not.
I've heard of it, and I think he has a little video game on the Switch out.
He probably does because he's all over. He's like all in Target and Walmart right now with like the little surprise boxes and stuff like that. And I've seen enough of his videos over the past couple years where I've seen it where it was like home video almost of like his family recording stuff, him having fun and like putting them on there. And now they're like, oh, I'm pretty sure he has a show on Nickelodeon now. Like it's like way too overproduced. And like, and I'm sure his parents love him and I'm sure that they want what's best for him. And ideally what's best for him is him to be able to play while being recorded and making a lot of money. But it's just like, part of me is like, how much of that are you taking? Because I've seen videos of their house and it is gigantic. And I just have to wonder, it's just like, do you like how much damage is being done? Because like it's the same thing as any football person. Like, is this kid that's like 8? Is he equipped to have this much money and power and influence over a very significant population of like other younger kids? Like that's a little scary. And the videos are nonsense. Like a lot of it is just like him being like, I'm gonna do this, and it's just like all very poorly produced, and you could tell that they have to make a video like every couple days type of thing. Like I get it, but it's scary. We're not gonna know the ramifications for any of this stuff for probably like another 10 to 15 years, which is also terrifying.
That is terrifying, Joe. Well, okay, I think Macaulay Culkin's a popular example.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He was a child actor. I love Home Alone. I love it. I love it. I love The Page Master.
Uncle Buck is a great movie. I even will go as far as saying I like The Good Son.
Oh, I haven't seen that before.
Oh, it's a scary movie. He plays like a devil kid. He's not the devil. He's like evil. It's a early 90s thriller. Elijah Wood is in it.
This isn't related to Problem Child.
No. It is the thriller version of Problem Child. Problem Child is the comedy as The Good Son is the thriller.
Okay, I'm gonna look this up because
you should watch it if you can handle. Have you watched Double Jeopardy?
I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Well, there's another one. Any of the Ashley Judd 90s movies.
Oh, like The Pelican Brief.
The Pelican Brief with like Julia Roberts. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Evil has many faces. The Good Son.
Oh yeah, you should definitely watch it. It might be hard to watch. I don't know, but I remember watching it when I was younger. I thought it was okay.
But over time, and I don't know what else he's been through. What did he did drugs? I think, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Just Okay, you remember Mara Wilson, right? Like Matilda
I
and Mrs.
do.
Doubtfire.
I
She
do.
left that life very young, and I think she talks
She
about
wrote a
it.
book about it, I think.
Yeah, she did. She did. I need to read it. I don't know. Like, man, we're getting into some philosophical topics. I just the financial reward would be great. Can you imagine being set for life at 8 years old? But again, like you keep pointing out, do who has the understanding of financial management at that age?
No one. Like it I mean like you have two options. You either keep the money from the kids, in which case you have to pay for someone to manage it and make decisions that will hopefully like nest that pot so in case something happens that they have that, or you give it to them, which I would say is probably equally bad. You know what I mean? Like it's tough. And again, I think that's why like any like even me judging this Ryan kids family, judging them, but like I don't know what their decisions look like. I don't know what I would do if I was in their position. I can tell you that Roman, my 5-year old, he loves on his iPad he will record himself and he will like make YouTube videos.
Hmm.
I mean, they don't go anywhere, but on the iPad. But he's like, today we're gonna play with this, or he'll play with Play-Doh, and like he's very good about articulating what he's doing, talking to people that clearly aren't there,
Oh,
and like stuff like that. And it's just like he would love to have a YouTube channel. And it's just like I could put it on YouTube channel, but then what happens if people start watching them? Then I have to invest. Like then my investment in that shifts. It's like right. You got either got to keep making those videos or we keep making them. You know what I mean? Like there's so many roads that you can just get sucked down to, that it's kind of scary. And like I would say that I wouldn't want that for him, but if he wanted that, I would want to give it to him, right? Like if he's happy doing that and he's making money doing that, like why? Who am I to tell him no at that point? As long as everything else is his needs are being met outside of that.
that's a that's a tough one.
It's a
That's a
tough one. So,
I don't think it's fair to yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's fair to judge parents because my mom like sometimes she'll even bring up today. She's like, because my dad worked offshore on an oil platform 2 weeks at a time, and my mom was a kindergarten teacher. So she had so three girls, and my dad would be away for 2 weeks at a time. So she was playing single parent while working. He's at work, and she's like, we probably stopped at McDonald's a little more than was healthy.
made the best
And
decisions you could.
I mean, I was like, well, I'm sure we were thrilled. She's like, I felt a little guilty about it, but some days when y'all had projects or band practice, and I had just finished teaching 35-year-old, 30, not 35-year-old people, 35 year
Oh, you
old.
said kindergarten.
It's like Billy, what is it, Billy Madison?
Yeah, it's a bunch of Adam Sandler.
So I don't think it's fair to judge
No,
parents.
that's actually one of the hardest things about being a parent now is that like we have more information than our parents had, and that's always going to be the case. So I
Mhm.
fully expect that when my kids grow up, if they ever have kids, that they are going to look at the decisions that we made and be like, we're not going to do that now. The hardest thing to me about being a parent right now is making the decision that I feel is best and communicating that to my mom or my wife's parents. And like it always feels like I feel like their reaction is always like you turned out fine, or like the judgment of their decisions are kind of on display there. But
Mhm.
it's not. It's just like no. It's just like it's different now. You what is it? 50 years ago, you used to just hold your kid on your lap in the seat of the car when you drove. That's unfathomable now. Like you would like no one in their right mind would do that, and I feel like that's such an obvious thing. We never wore seatbelts as a kid. I never wore a seatbelt anywhere ever. My mom had seat covers on our truck that covered up the seatbelts. That's how much we knew we weren't wearing seatbelts. And like now, like that seems insane. And I was like, the turn for that happened as soon as I started driving. My mom was like, "Make sure you buckle up." And be like, "But you don't buckle up. We never buckled up. We're not a buckle up family." And I don't know. I feel like it's tough on them. It's tough to say like that you have more information now and you want to make a different decision than what they made. But that's life. I mean, it's always kind of like this twinge of conflict that's in the air. It's like, oh, hey, don't give them this. And it's like, it's Sunny Delight. And be like, yeah, but it's not really orange juice, is it? Like, I know they like it, but it's just because it's sugar. And like, I don't mind giving them sugar, but if you want to give them sugar, give them a lollipop, but don't guise it as like they're eating something healthy. It's just like, I don't know, grapefruit juice is not grape juice.
Lots of sugar in that.
Oh man, or the grapefruit cocktail or whatever it is.
But you're right. We have more information now, so we can
More
make.
info.
And like you said, if your children decide to have children later, they're going to have more information, and I think people are working with the best they have.
Yeah.
That's
The
what
difference is, I'm gonna suck it up. When my kids come to me and they're like, "Hey, don't give so and so the tablet and don't let them watch YouTube. It's gonna do this, this, and this." And I'd be like, "Fair enough. Fair enough. I was suspect that it was ruining your lives when I gave it to you, but it kept you quiet. So glad we all turned out okay."
I think we all just have to worry about making sure the kids don't kill one another.
You know, at the end of the day, if they all fall asleep peacefully and no one has sustained a major injury, it's a win. It's a good day.
That is a good win. Well, we have a list of topics. What would you like? I mean, like we've slightly covered some of them.
It's fine. Sorry, I can talk for a lot when it starts to get when it starts to happen.
No, I just want to say like this is really enjoyable because I think the 1v1 is not just about your podcasting, it's about you. And people like to see behind the curtain a lot.
I have no curtains. All right, so what do we have? We can just go down the line and then see where it goes.
Yeah,
You can just cut me off whenever you feel like you said too much.
Oh no. It's I just wanted to give you your due diligence and gosh, I don't know. I just love 1v1s. I love it whenever they go off the rails because I think that's more honest.
I agree.
You know?
I would concur with that.
And okay, you mentioned when we were talking before I started recording, you're talking about celebrity sightings.
Hmm?
And I thought that was so cool that I added it to the list. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those?
Yeah. So I grew up, I think as soon as I started to drive, me and my buddies like started to do like conventions, comic book conventions and stuff like that. So I've always had an interest in like, I wouldn't even say like, I feel weird calling them celebrities because a lot of the time it's like B or C list celebrities that I get excited about. So what I would define as someone that I admire or a celebrity is someone that usually puts a lot of care or craft into whatever it is that they're doing. I find that so fascinating because I feel like the product, kind of going back, is like a very honest product. It's just like I feel like I'm watching something and I don't have to feel weird about it. None of those stories, like remember like you watch a movie and then you find out that someone was like being abused or someone had a terrible time on set and you're just like, oh, I can't watch that movie anymore. It kind of breaks your heart. I don't like to invest in stuff like that. So we would go to conventions and we would meet all these B and C list celebrities. I'm trying to think of some of the notable ones that like it met like Robert Englund, the guy that plays Freddy Krueger and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do I have it around me? No, I don't. I have a poster of. So Call of Duty had one of the expansions was called Call of the Dead. It was like one of the zombie expansions, but it had George A. Romero. It had Michael Rooker, who is I'm gonna botch his name. Zandu from Guardians of the Galaxy, the guy with the red mohawk, the blue guy. Peter Quill's like father figure. He was also in The Walking Dead. Also, what I would know him from originally was from Mallrats.
Oh, the Kevin Smith movie?
Yeah, he's the Mr. Svenning who has the pretzel that in his mouth. So he was at one of these conventions one time, and this is pre like Walking Dead explosion. This is quite a few years ago. And I met him, and there was nobody in his line to like meet him. Like it's just like you go to his table, and he's just like standing there. You could tell that he's bored, and we just start kind of like BSing with him. Josh has a Michael Rooker story too. So we just start BSing, and I was just like, oh yeah, it's like this, and it's like, I've been really playing this game, and you do a voice on it. He's like, oh, you like that game? I'm like, I do. He's like, tell you what, I got something for you. And he gives me a poster from the video game. It's this call. He's like, the only people that got these are the people that made the video game.
No.
And I was like, oh my God. I was like, yes. And he's like, I'll sign it for you. So he signs it for me. Right. And I had this, and then later had an opportunity to meet Robert Englund, had him sign it because he was also a voice in this thing. I didn't get Sarah Michelle Gellar hasn't signed it, and Danny Trejo are the other two people that are on this poster. But when Robert Englund signed it, he's like, this is actually a very special poster. He's like, because there's two versions of this poster that exist. He's like, there's the one that I think you can find on the internet. He's like, and then there's the one that the people that made the video game or helped make the video game got. He's like, and it's got a secret message on it. It glows in the dark and it says something special. Anyway, so if you like light it up, some of the letters light up and they glow in the dark and stuff like that. But it's just so weird that like I got like the full portrait of this like poster after meeting like two people that have been involved in it. That's a good wholesome one of a celebrity person. I've also met John Williams, the person that did the Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all that stuff. He conducts every now and again at our local symphony here, and my band director took me and three of my other friends who like were big Star Wars fans at the time to go see him, and then we got to go like in like a backstage thing and meet him, and it was awesome. So I have his autograph and picture somewhere with me as like a 15-year-old. I couldn't drive, so I had been 14 or 15. Great.
That is amazing.
Yeah. My band director was really positive influence in my childhood. It's weird to say stuff like that because like, but it's very true, especially again growing up in like this very closed-minded small town football oriented, like it just like again just nothing that is me, to find like someone that can like here's a good kid that just needs some extra stuff, that he's definitely into art and like music and stuff like, and just like, and like just to like really put in that extra time. Like again, like this was not school related. She took me on her personal time with her husband in their own vehicle and just like drove us to like the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, and like then we got to do that. It was so cool. She's taken me a while ago now. She like they had a boat, and like they took us out on the boat, and like we just like went we did have the inner tube around like behind like pull. It's not skiing, I don't know, tubing, I guess you'd call it. Stuff like that is just great.
Awesome.
And then we talked earlier, but I met David Fincher. I'm in as an extra season 1 of Mindhunter on Netflix. I think it's episode 3, but he was on set during craft services. I mustered up the courage to go and say hi to him, and just one of the nicest people on the planet. It's always so relieving because when you see someone that you have like pined over for a little bit, meaning like I've watched documentaries with him, I've watched his movies, trying to understand like his decision-making process, because you feel like at the end he makes good decisions in the craft that he does. And then just like to finally be face to face with that person, it's like, what do you say to that guy? Like you want to kind of like emote how much appreciation that you have for them. You want to kind of express that, like, I feel like I get your stuff on a different level than other people do. Like I know it's like, I don't just like, no, I really like, I think you do a really good job. You want to like say all that, but in the end, you just like, you're like, oh, me fan. Like give them the thumbs up, stammer away, and be like, I didn't say anything I wanted to say. It's just so, I don't know. I still get nervous when I see someone that I admire and I feel like I have the opportunity to say something. It's always weird. Met John Lovitz once too.
I'm
John
looking
Lovitz.
all these people up, by the way.
He's in The Wedding Singer.
That's one of my favorite movies.
he's losing his mind, and I'm reaping the benefits. And then he gets like pulled behind the curtain.
Oh my god.
Uh, he was I was in California, and he was like emceeing like the tree lighting ceremony, and I could give two craps about the tree lighting ceremony, but I wanted to see John Lovitz in person. So I'm standing off to the side, like almost like to the side of the stage. Everyone's out front because they had like, I don't know, Clay Aiken was singing or something. I don't know
Oh,
if it was Clay Aiken, but there was definitely like, but there were like popular people that were doing stuff there. And I remember being like, as soon as he walked off stage, we're like, John. And like we waved to him, and he like turns around and all excited, and he like waves at us, and it was got like to have that one moment, be like, I not only saw him, but like he recognized me. It's always a good thing. Uh, I don't know.
these are people who have been in a lot of stuff. I'm looking up these people as you tell me about them.
They have a lot of tiny roles and things. I feel like that's the prime celebrity to meet, is someone that again like is, they're not too big for their britches, because I feel like they've seen the whole curve of being like when they are popular or like in a lot of stuff, and they've also seen the drought of like when no one's interested. And then I feel like that's when they get, if you're a fan and you interact with that person, there's a mutual appreciation that is exchanged. That's just like, I appreciate the work that they've done and kind of like the joy that they've provided in whatever snippet of my life. But it's just like, and in that moment, you're returning that just by like knowing who they are and like the body of their work in some way. Um, it's a neat little exchange that happens when you get those that happen. I met Bruce Campbell a couple times.
From the horror movies?
Yeah, yeah, Evil Dead, and he's in the Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films and stuff like that. Yeah,
How is he?
uh, he was fine. So I actually have footage of him giving me the finger that I provoked out of him, uh, and I think we both knew that I like, it was both in good fun on both sides, but I have video of it. Um, so he was at this convention, and me and my friend were trying to meet him, and literally he was definitely the most popular person there. Like Evil Dead has such a cult following behind it that like even to this day, if he goes somewhere, there's a crowd. It's weird because like you, if you know him from Evil Dead or any of his work, you're going to be excited to see him. And if you don't know him, you're like, who is this schlub and why are people excited? Like, you just won't get it. Um, Fortunate enough to be on the one end, he has a autobiography book that I've read, and he talks in that book about him going auditioning for the role of the Phantom in the movie The Phantom, and him pretty much feeling like for sure he's got the part. He like did the audition, working out and everything like that, and then I think he found out that Billy Zane had got the role for
Mhm.
this movie that he wanted, and he was all disappointed about it. He has a whole chapter on like how he's disappointed and like how crappy it was that he found out that way. So anyway, so we're waiting to meet Bruce Campbell, and the ushers at this event say, "Okay," and they kind of like chop down their hand in front of us, like everyone from here back doesn't get to meet him. And it was like right in front of us. They just like, he's not gonna have enough time. It was like right in front of me. It's just like one of those things, like we traveled to go see him, and not like kind of the disappointment, and it's just like, you know what, I'm gonna see if I can at least get an interaction with this guy. So I gave my friend my video camera. Again, being kind of like a film kid, like I always had a video camera on me, like all the time. It was weird. um a lot of weird home movies. So I'm like, just make sure that I'm in frame and he's in frame whenever I do this. And I go up to the line. I wait until he's done interacting with somebody, and then I say, Bruce, I loved you in The Phantom. And he like finds me in the crowd, and he gives me the bird. And my buddy, like at the right moment, just like zooms in on his reaction when he finds me and gives me the bird. And I have this all on videotape, or on, I think I have it digitally somewhere now. But like,
You hit him
it's
where it hurts.
prize. It's better than an autograph. We had a genuine connection. He knew that I knew something about him, and like we had that. It's a good moment.
So do
It's
you
a,
think he was truly wounded by that, or you
I
think?
do not. I do not. He is. So I met him later. Uh, he had another book come out. I had him sign my book. Oddly enough, it was at my local. There's like a local movie theater. I guess you'd call it a movie theater. It's like a one theater or one screen, very small. Like they show like old movies and stuff like that. Anyway, he was signing his book there, and I used to wear Hawaiian shirts all the time as a kid. I don't know. And Bruce Campbell, oddly enough, also I didn't know it at the time. This is like pre-internet stuff, or like when the internet was dial-up. He used to wear Hawaiian shirts like anytime he wasn't doing something. Like casual day wear was him wearing a button-up Hawaiian shirt. And when I got to meet him, he's wearing almost the exact same shirt that I'm wearing. Like they're eerily similar. And he's like, I like your shirt. And I'm like, hey, thanks. And he's like, I like bad shirts. And I was like, oh, so like we definitely had jabs with one another. And I think that's just his style. Like, so I like to think that whenever he had that, he knew that I had read his book, because that information, to my knowledge, is only available in his book. So I think there was a mutual exchange of like, I'm going to say something snarky to you and you're going to give me some sass back. That's how I'm going to remember it anyway.
That's priceless. That is better than an autograph. Not
Better
even,
than an autograph.
not
And
even,
and if you watch the video, I'm so youthful in it. I think I'm wearing like a puka shell necklace or something too. Like really dated. Really dated.
Are you recognizable? Do
Oh,
you,
I think if you know, I mean, like, I don't have a beard. But yeah, like I think anybody watching that would know it's me.
is it on YouTube?
I I don't think it's on YouTube. Let me. It can be. I'm gonna place a text right now,
Can I ask it?
and
I want to.
I know I have a friend that is, I would say, a anal retentive
Anal
ar,
retention.
ar what do you call someone that archives everything? An archivist.
Oh, an archivist. Yeah, yeah.
He has it. He has a binder of burnt DVDs. He's like, oh, it's on binder 2, page 386. Like he will know. Um, and then once I have it, I'll make sure it goes up.
I want to see this because I used to. Oh God, I had a friend. We didn't have a falling out. It's just, you know how sometimes people in your life, you just,
Grow apart.
nothing negative. You just, life happens,
Yeah, it just happens.
and you just, one day you're hanging out, and the next day y'all are both working, and life happens. He was obsessed with Bruce Campbell and uh, Robert England, and I kept thinking, God, I wish Marcel Hartman were here to hear Joe talking about this. Aw, thanks for bringing up that memory too. I appreciate that.
If it helps. So I had a friend whenever growing up, um, we had there was pretty much like a core group of 4 of us. And I will tell you exactly why there's a core group of 4 of us.
Ninja Turtles. That's why.
Well, oh no, that'd be good too. We met. I had moved in the 6th grade, so the friends that I like became my like core friends were post Ninja Turtles for me. Um, it was Star Wars and Spider-Man, but we just transitioned out of that. But the reason why I think 4 of us were so close is because of the N64 and GoldenEye. Because if you had more than 4 friends, someone was sitting out and
Oh,
just like not fun. So there was always 4 of us, and I'm pretty sure that's because it's just like that's how many friends you can invite. If I had a Nintendo, I could invite 3 friends. That's all the more I could support for entertainment purposes. Um, I'm pretty sure
amazing.
that's true. I wonder how many numbers are it's different now because you can have as many friends as you want with the internet. You
Oh
can have
God.
however many game systems. Um, so he records everything and he catalogs everything. But I had this one friend, getting back to what we were just talking about, that same thing happened. I think right when we like really close friends, all four of us, and whenever we turned, it was probably around 21, 22. He had finished nursing school, and he had married his high school girlfriend. They bought a house, they were having kids, and I was still like, no idea what I'm doing. Like, just like he transitioned to the next stage of life before me, and we grew apart. We never had a fight. We never really had like a that. There was never a moment. It's just like he just faded away.
Hmm.
Um, Oddly enough, when I started streaming, he caught one of my streams and started watching because he works. He's like a manager. He has a managerial role in the hospital, and he can every now and again, like if he's at his desk, like he can put like at the time he pulled up Mixer and he could watch me play games and interact. And since then, we've become really close again. He has a like a video production company that like they will call me up if they need an extra set of hands every now and again, and we talk. I would say probably every day now, and
What?
it's weird. So it can come full circle as soon as your paths like line up again, where it's sadly when it's convenient for the two of you to be friends again.
I think that's life. I think it's normal. I'd rather those kind of fadings happen than something bad blood like occur.
Yeah, I have a bad blood one too. That I think since then we've both apologized, but we've never. It's not the same. Like it's like we don't interact anymore. I think we're over the bad situation. Um, but it's just like again, it's just not convenient for us to be friends, and that sounds so horrible to say, but I think it's really true. If it takes effort to be someone's friend, then like you're just not going to do it.
No, it should come naturally, and I think that's such an important lesson for kids to learn. And you can tell them all these pieces of advice until you're blue in the face, but until they actually experience these little parts of life for themselves, it doesn't click. It how many times have we probably had I told you so moments from people who have been there?
If you're ever giving someone advice, I find this to be almost therapeutic. If you feel like you need to give someone advice, especially if it's unsolicited advice, meaning that they haven't asked you for it or they're not being like, "Oh, what do I do?" You need to find a way to get permission to give them that advice. You need to be able to say like, "Hey, can I like acknowledge the fact that it might be like you're going to say something uncomfortable. State your advice very clearly. So don't give it in the moment or like in the heat of a moment. Like make sure that you've thought about like the points that you really need to say, that you remove any sort of judgment or possible judgment. And you need to make that very clear and make it memorable that you stated your advice and that that's just your opinion and they can I don't want to say take it or leave it because that sounds negative, but like just be like, okay, that's all. I just wanted you to know that that's what I would do or that's what I think. But outside of that, like whatever you want to do, and then they can make their own decision. They can use your advice as a reference guide, but if this way they still make whatever decision they want to make, and if they make a bad decision, they know that you've tried to help, and if like they go the other way, then they go the other way. um, I've been in a lot of situations where I've given advice and I feel like I've tried to strong arm the situation, be like, no, you're making a mistake if you do this. But then you create like an enemy situation where it's just like now they're going to do it to rebel against you,
Mhm.
or they're going to like there's going to be animosity there regardless which way they decide. If they decide to go with your advice and then they're unhappy, they're going to kind of like fault you for it. And if they don't decide with you, then there's this whole like told you so moment that feels like it's in the air. So either way is bad. Give your advice, make it clear, make it kind of memorable, and then just leave it. Just both acknowledge that you don't like. If they don't go with it, they don't go with it. But
Yeah.
it's a good life lesson. I feel like if anytime I'm going to give my kids advice, make a event out of it. We're going to go somewhere calm, have that advice so that they can remember that I had given them that advice, and then be like, whatever you decide, that's up to you. I'm leaving it.
I think that's a very humble stance to take too.
You make a lot of mistakes to get to the point before you figure out how to give advice, which is weird.
It's like life is the best teacher.
It's very, very, very true. Very true.
And if anybody tells you they have it all figured out, I'd run away.
They are lying. Or they are some sort of immortal being, and they have. In which case,
their grandmother Willow.
Find a way to test that.
Oh, I really like that advice about how to give advice. I like it. I think that's important. And we have talked about so many things, and I almost don't even want to talk about video games because this is so fascinating. isn't that funny?
But it happens.
I mean, you are part of the Arsenal X and Xbox podcast. Were you part of anything or doing anything before? I mean, streaming, yes.
Just streaming, I think. I think, like, I don't know. Yeah, I've been on working at an Apple store. You surround yourself with creative people, and everyone has an idea for a podcast or wants to do a podcast. Like, and I think that's probably still true for the most part. And podcasts are one of the few mediums that there's plenty of room for whatever you want to do. So I've been on a lot of episodes of podcasts that, and I would say even most of those have never aired. A lot of people that want to do a podcast, you guys all get together, you record a podcast, and then it never leaves that state. So I've been on a lot of those, and I would say Arsenal X is the first one that I would say that, I don't want to say reluctantly started doing, but like I didn't seek out to be on a podcast at that point. Again, because I've had a lot of experience with podcasts, but like the one cool thing, and especially about Corey specifically, is that he does a lot of the legwork. I mean, like, he makes it easy to be a part of that podcast, because literally I show up and I do what I'm doing right now, is I like rant on for a little bit, then it's over, and he puts it out there, and people, I guess, listen to it, which again is kind of, it's weird to know that someone out there is like, has headphones and they hear my voice talking, and it's just like, oh man, it's gotta be weird.
It's a fun podcast. I really enjoy it.
I genuinely enjoy it. I do. Anyway, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. I just like, I casually play our Xbox. I'm playing Tell Me Why right now on Game Pass, and I'm going to be honest, you guys just have great personalities that I want to listen. I might not know what you're talking about, but I'm engaged.
That's good. It's weird. I feel like there's always, I feel like a conversation always kind of naturally spawns on it. We don't do, again, I say we, Corey does the show notes and everything like that. So he does prep work. Corey, I'm sure, does a way more than ever I could imagine, as far as like the work that he's putting into that. But for me, it makes it super easy. I show up, I see kind of roughly what we're talking about. We start talking, and then just conversation spawns. And then it's like 2 hours later, and it's like, I guess we should end it. And it's like, okay. And then when we don't do it, I miss it. We didn't do one technically last week, and it felt weird and empty inside. I had all this pent up Xbox stuff that I didn't get to talk about.
You didn't get a chance to talk about it because I'm looking up the podcast right now, and people have said some really nice things.
It is really, and he showed me that the most recent episode had, I think it was like over 1,700 downloads, which might not be a lot in the podcast world, but it's a lot for me personally to think about. And it's just like, man, like that's neat. I mean, I don't know how many of those people are like my mom downloading it on like 30 devices that she has or anything like that, but it's still neat.
I think it's awesome. And I think there's room for everyone at the table when it comes to podcasting.
I think that given the fact that there's such a bite-sized form of entertainment, It's great for if you're on the treadmill. It's great if you're driving in your car. For the most part, I think I don't want to say all podcasts are free, but like most podcasts are like readily available on anything and they're free. And it's a great way to get someone else's perspective or opinion or even just like information. It's a great way to learn. I'm not great at reading. Like I can read if you force me to, but I absorb information way better if I'm listening to an audiobook or like listening to a podcast. It's just way to have someone casually talk to me, it sinks in. If I'm reading a textbook, it's tough.
You bring up a really good point, Joe. There are different ways of learning, and it goes back to what we're talking about during this pandemic, how some students are probably shining being able to have school at home. Think about like with math, for example. I'm more of like language arts, history kind of stuff. I'm good at math and science, but like a teacher, you can't just tell me this equation. I want you to show me on the board, a visual learner. And I think it's so important that we realize people absorb information differently, and it doesn't mean someone is less than or not intelligent just because they don't grasp it one way.
Yes. So, in my experience, there are three ways that people learn. Some people learn by doing,
Hmm.
like they need to get their hands on it and just try it. That's a large part for me. I need to be able to see it and see how things connect together. Um, that for it to stick with me. I'm also one of those people that if I need to remember something, I have to write it down.
Hmm.
And I can't type it. I can't just think about it. I have to just write the word and then it sticks. So some people learn by doing something. Some people can learn by reading, and some people learn by someone else showing that to them. And there's obviously a healthy mix of a little bit of each. But that's the downside to kind of like I would say your classic classroom structure is that the kids are probably getting one of those. So then anybody else that needs either that other supplemental stuff, they either have to do that on their own time or they're just not getting it, I think, in a lot of ways. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be a way to assess how people learn or how they learn best and then tailor out their experience based on that. Um, I don't know. So I have this is a tangent. I
Go
have
for
a
it.
I have a dream of a way if I was in charge of an education system, this is what I would do. And I get that this would be extremely difficult to do, but I also think it would be very effective. So let's say we are learning about something. Let's say this would mostly work in like a elementary school scenario. So like a 1 through K, well, K, what do they call it? K through 12, whatever
Hmm.
they call it. So let's say that your 10th grade class is learning about, so they need to learn about like all the teachers need to know, but like they need to learn about this and this. And then they all get together and be like, hey, in physics class this week, we are learning about, I don't know, centrifugal force, it's like some element. Then the gym teacher is like, oh, great. We can actually do, instead of doing basketball this season, we can do basketball this season and show them how when they toss the ball this way, like you could tailor more than one class around the same subject. Like when I was in gym class, like I got nothing out of it. It was the thing that I kind of feared and didn't want to change in front of people, and then like would like just kind of do to get by. However, there are nerds that if you tell them kind of like if you make more to the the sport than just the sport, they have something to cling on to. And also, if you incorporate other elements of things they're learning, then I feel like you get that reinforcement that's needed throughout the day. So that at the end of a subject, you kind of get a new course in all of your classes. And again, I get that that would take a tremendous amount of planning. But I also think that then it exposes other kids to that like level of learning that it's like, oh, sometimes they get to do it, sometimes they get to read it, and sometimes they get to like listen to it or hear about it. I feel like that would work so well if someone could just make that happen.
That would be phenomenal.
I
And
would
then
love it.
you could read in some kind of literature about a physicist or
Yes.
some kind of sci-fi fantasy
Like what
novel.
was going on in the world when this thing was discovered? Like
Oh, mystery
why was it
class.
discovered? Be like, oh, well, this was going on and he wanted to do this or she wanted to do that, and then they looked into this and they found this one thing. Like there is everything is connected. Like everything is. And if you just kind of reinforce that with your schooling, you have so many other courses that could do it. And you could in English, you could read a story that was written from that era or about this, or like again, like it's a pretty broad brush. You can make like the 7 degrees of separation, you can make a lot of stuff work and connect to one another. I would love to see that happen. And I don't know if that would be effective, but in my head, it sounds good.
Man, are you gonna? So are y'all thinking about maybe homeschooling the kids so that maybe you could implement that?
Probably not, because I'm not a teacher. I don't have a lot of great patience. And again, like I realize that like I can teach my kids now because I know more than them, but I would ideally want them to interact with people that know more than me so that they're smarter than me. I don't want them to be as smart as me. I want them to be way better. And I feel like the only way to do, and again, personal opinion, but I feel like the only way to do that effectively is to have a variety of people that they interact with and a variety of opinions. Um, I'm not saying that they need to interact with other kids their age for, the conflict and be able to do that, but I think that they need to be able to interact with other people that are smarter than me or at least specialized in areas. There are better people than me to teach my children. And I will do my best to supplemental teach things as I need to. I feel like I'm going to be an engaged parent. I hope so. But the the teachers need to do that. I will make fun of the teachers when like I disagree with them about something and they bring work home. So that'll be fun.
I think that a sign of a good teacher is one who can admit they are wrong and be open to critique. Because that's a sign of a good person, frankly.
I would I would agree with that. I think that's a hard thing to do. I I want to say it was probably like 6 years ago. Nope, it was 7 years ago maybe. There was a point in my life that I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was actually a major life event or something like that. Um, but I remember just being like, you know what? I'm not going to have a problem if I make mistakes anymore. And so like even like a work environment, if something went wrong, like who did this? Be like, oh, I did that. I thought it was this and it was that. Sorry. Like just like as soon as you can clear the air of being like what went wrong, like there is no sense in hiding it or coming up with excuses or beating around the bush. It helps everyone move on more quickly. I feel like anytime you don't realize that a mistake, if you don't realize that the mistake was a mistake, then it stays a mistake.
Hmm.
You don't ever get that opportunity to learn from it until you've just acknowledged the fact that something happened. Um, so I feel like anymore, I'm pretty immune to. I don't want to say I'm immune to judgment. My feelings can still get hurt, I'm sure, but like it's there's definitely a thing that happened in my life, and it probably was around not when I got had kids, but right before I had kids. And you think, you know what? If I did something wrong, or if I'm wrong, I'm just gonna. There's no sense in or shame in saying that you're wrong about it, unless you fought a lot of people before that. Then you absolutely should be embarrassed if you try to play off like you knew information that you didn't know. That stinks. But you should not do that. If you don't know, always leave. Scientifically, you're never 100% sure. So like you should always be like I am pretty sure. Even when I know, I do this now a lot. My wife will tell you, she I'm sure hates it. When I know something is a fact, like I know it's a fact, and I'm in a situation with somebody else that is dead ass wrong, like they for sure know it's wrong. There's a fire in my eyes where it's just like, no, I'm pretty sure that it was this person that was in that movie, and you are thinking of this person. And they're like, nope, it was this person. I'm like, You might want to look it up, but I am almost certain. I am 99% sure. They're like, I don't want to, like, they might be misspeaking on trying to reference the movie, and I don't want to make them feel too badly, but like, I try to give them a 1% lead of being like I am almost certain that I am right here. But I try to never push too hard anymore. The younger me would push. I would get in like arguments with people and be like, "No, it was Rob Corddry. That was the person you're thinking about. You're thinking of David Koechner." That's
So do you think it's because like you don't have the time or the energy to
part
expend?
part of it's probably it's not worth my time. But I would also just rather be the bigger person in the situation and just like I will say my piece and then I'm gonna walk away. There's no sense in getting in an argument with anybody.
You've probably heard this quote before by Charles Bukowski. I looked it up to make sure I got it right. The problem with the world is that the intelligent people are full of doubt while the stupid people are full of confidence.
Yes.
And a coworker and I, when we were in the office, we talk about this a lot. And I have on a personal note, I have a cousin who would kind of make fun of me for certain life events that happened to me. Like, oh, look, Little Miss Perfect did this while I have a master's degree. And she'd bring me down. And he was like, just not that there's anything wrong with that, but just because you have a piece of paper or initials behind your name does not mean you are the smartest person in the world. He said some of the best professors I ever had were the ones who corrected themselves.
Oh, yeah. And that there are very intelligent people that I'm sure have never finished high school or college or have any sort of degree. One of my personal idols, Adam Savage,
Mm-hmm.
I consider himself a very not only intelligent person but emotionally intelligent person. Uh, he never went to college, like, and he knows a lot about a lot of different subjects. That I think that's probably the connection that I have with him is like I can tell when he has an interest, he kind of dives into it like head first. Um, but like I don't know, I feel like that assumption of like that I've been tested to this point and I like now it's certified that I know this much. Like I get why that's important, but I have also been in those scenarios where I've watched people be tested and I know they will do anything to pass a test. Um, and again, that goes kind of back to like, well, you didn't learn anything. Like, yes, you answered a test, but you don't know what you're talking about. And I feel like those two things are kind of at odds with each other, which is why like any uh any profession where you have that where you almost have that trade school type thing at the end where you have to go like you have to practice it and be supervised
Oh, an
like
apprenticeship?
and like almost yes correct like at the last year you have to be like okay now you're going to be doing your trial run of this thing where you're going to actually be doing this stuff like that's they get to do it, they get to be kind of supervised and they get to see whether or not it's going to work out. Oddly enough, that should happen from the get-go to see if they like it versus before they start
All this
investing
time
years of their
and
time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like judging people based on I don't know any degrees or anything like that. It can be impressive if you've done something. I feel like most people at MIT are very smart. Anybody that I talk to that's gone there, it's just like way over my head. But uh, I don't know. People just need to be more open minded and a little less. You can make judgments in your head. You can make notes in your head and be like, oh, I wonder if this guy's like this, and then you can discover it. But you have to collect facts and have them confirmed before you can really say that someone's a jerk or someone that doesn't know anything.
you're
Uh,
right. And speaking about how you want to raise your kids, Albert Einstein said, everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its whole life thinking it's stupid.
yes,
Uh,
yes.
Everybody has unique talents, everybody has unique skills, and I, I'm I'm really okay if I don't set the world on fire.
Yeah, I don't think there's a handful of people that will be out there and do that. Um, I don't think everyone needs. I think having the expectation that you're going to or that you have to or like that's your goal. I mean, it's a fine goal to set as long as you're okay with that goal being scaled back at any point. You know what I mean?
The
Um,
pressure. Hmm.
I would say I think you need to have. I feel like any aspiration you have, I think in your head you need to have a certain. It's like your dream goal for this thing, but then you also need to have like your realistic goal. Like, what's the minimum that I'm gonna do? So this way, regardless where you land, it's in a spectrum of things. It's like as long as I'm in from the point A to point B, as long as I'm somewhere in here, like I will be happy. And if you're not happy with anything other than that top thing, I mean, like there are those people out there that can do that, and that's their drive, and that like that's good for them. But I think most people need to have a realistic look and be like, if I'm not going to be able to achieve this, and I don't want to do it, it's like maybe you actually don't want to do it.
You're making me think a lot. I wonder how many people have goals because they want to impress other people rather than do it for themselves because they truly enjoy it.
A lot. I think a lot. I know. So, a buddy of mine, I hope, I hope he doesn't listen because he will know who he is. I've talked about him already. Um, I think he's okay with the profession that he chose, but I think if he was choosing, this sounds stupid because he's fine. His life is fine, but I think if he was choosing with his heart, he would have chose something different, and it always makes me a little sad inside because he is way way better off than I am, like on paper or financially or whatever you want to call it. Um, and I think it's unfair for me to say that I'm happier than him, but I think I am. You know what I mean? Like it feels like I would be because I don't think that generally. I think day to day and I guess I don't enjoy my job either, but I think that for the amount of time that he's invested in his career path, I feel like you should be more fulfilled if you've he's a doctor. And I just
Medical
don't
doctor?
he pharmacist.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe he does, and maybe that's a judgment that I have. But it's just one of those things. It's just like I know that he has a similar like artistic, like he wants to do like an accomplishment like that. I don't think that he will in that. I don't want him to live his life and then get to the end of it and be like, I wish I would have done something in that field. Which I feel like he kind of feel like he's on the path to maybe be there. I don't know.
Do you think he has any hobbies that allow him to scratch that itch?
I think he does. He has some hobbies that definitely allows him to do that, and he has a very specific mindset that he will research and everything, and it has to be kind of like perfect. And I do think he has some of that itches, but I think if and again maybe this is me living in the version of us when we were growing up, but I would imagine that he needs something a little bit more grand, or he's capable of doing it. I guess I should say. Like I know that he could do it if he just chose to do it. Um, I don't know, and that part always kind of bothers me a little bit when we talk. It's just like, oh, I feel like if you just commit to doing it. If you can become a doctor in something that you're not super interested in, like you could do anything. Like he's succeeded in something that he doesn't I don't know, it's unfair for me to say he doesn't fully care about it, but if he can do that, like I couldn't become a doctor because I don't care. Like I don't want to learn about that stuff. I have zero, and if I don't have the interest to do it, it's not staying. I'm not going to put in the effort or anything like that. He did the hard part. I feel like the easy part, if you're interested in something, you could learn everything about it. I don't know. Kind of envious of the fact that he can do that. He can just put his mind. He's like, I'm going to learn about this, and even if he hates it, he'll still do it. Just like that's impressive.
That is discipline.
It's crazy. It's very jealous of anybody that can do that. Be like, I'm just going to learn about this thing. Be like, do you like that? Be like, no, I hate it. And it's like, that's insane. Awesome for you though.
You're making me wonder how many people. Okay, so we all need jobs. We all need to be able to pay our bills, and it is okay if what you do for a living is not maybe your passion, but like we were talking earlier, I think it's really important to have hobbies that let you be yourself, or a job that's very flexible. Like you and I think we both have really flexible jobs where we can squeeze in a little bit of fun time if we need to. But I wonder how many people major in something or go into this career path, not out of desperation, but because their parents pressure them, society pressures them. They want to look impressive. They don't care about law. They don't care about medicine. They don't care about whatever the prestigious fields are.
There's, I mean, there's probably a lot. I talked to my wife about this the other day. We were watching a movie or a show. We were watching something. So if I had to choose like one career path that I could magically be in its ideal form, I would choose like film or cinema. I feel like I know the most about that. I would like to exercise that talent as much as possible, and I would like to have more resources doing stuff like that. But then I had the thought of being like, how many people that have a job in the film industry that they got reluctantly because their parents like got that job for them, and they go to work every day and they're just like the worst at it. And it's just like, but they do it because like someone got them that job, and technically they're not doing it wrong, but they hate it. And how many people would kill to have that job that can't get it because it's being occupied by somebody that hates it? It's just like, I don't know, the paradox of stuff like that drives me crazy. It's just like I would Freaky Friday, Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis with one of those people, and we would probably both be happier. Like if like again, just career wise, they can't have the rest of my life, I guess. But like they might not like doing any of those jobs, but someone might like having the job that they're in right now. And that just blows my mind to think about that. And like any industries like that there's a lot of those people. There's so many people that do that. Makes me sad.
I hate seeing people unhappy. I think that's something. It makes me sad seeing people sad because life is really short, and tomorrow, the next hour is not guaranteed. I'm getting morbid, I know, but it's true. And like you were saying about the end of your life, don't wish, oh, I wish I would have done. Don't have regrets. And there may be some things you can't do due to, finances, health, whatever, but find new goals, find new reasons to wake up in the morning or the night, whatever your schedule is.
That one of the so I when I if you would have asked me at any point, I never wanted to have kids. It was just I was just assumed it wasn't in the cards for me. Didn't want to do it. Then it happened. One of the best silver linings to having kids is that you have two things that come out of that. One is you're able to evaluate time in the sense that of the things that you do and do not want to do are so easy. You can just be like, it's. I used to be one of those people that would reluctantly go to parties. I'm not like a super social person, and I would reluctantly go places and like hang out until like I feel like I've spent enough time there, and then go home and be like, really just can't wait to get home and do whatever I want to do at home. And having kids, it's so easy to be like, I don't want to do that. And then if anyone like presses me on like why I don't want to do that, I'd be like, can't find anyone to watch like there's a built-in excuse. My kids have gotten sick so many times that I haven't had to go do things or whatever. But it's so nice to be able to evaluate how important time is to you and what is and isn't worth your time. And then always just to have an instant way out of being like, I'm not going to do that. If anybody presses, you can just be like, it's because of this thing that is uncontrollable that we all can agree that we hate dealing with. Like, it's just so easy. And anybody that doesn't have kids, you can make the kids sound so complicated, and they don't know. So they're not going to press you for information. It's nice. It's a nice built-in feature. Aside from that, though, they take a lot of your time, so you legitimately don't have much time to yourself, which is awful.
I have two cats. They don't take up hardly any time.
It's a real monkey's paw here with these kids.
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah. Have you
Isn't
seen the new Wonder Woman?
no? They talk about the monkey's paw.
Yeah, it's bad. It's a bad movie. Wonder Woman 1984 is a bad film. I'm on record saying it. It's not good. But
Wait, like they talk about the monkey's paw in
they
it?
do talk about the monkey's paw.
I love that story.
It is a it is the a foundation plot device of that movie. I will also say that they screw up the story royally with the main character. Like it is they tell the story and in theory they get it right, but then they mess it up. Anyway,
Oh man, I haven't seen
should
it yet.
it's on HBO Go, Max, Pro, HBO, whatever, whatever now, then. I don't know what they call it. It's on HBO now. Currently.
I love the monkey's paw.
I like it too. You should watch it. You might like it. There's there's a lot of people out there that like Wonder Woman. This is another prime example of me making a judgment on something, but like I would say from a film perspective, meaning like technically the things you have to do to make a cohesive story and have it make sense and like not really have like it fall apart when you like try to like look at it, like it doesn't work. It is broken. But I don't know, some people can watch a movie and not think about those things and then they enjoy it. And I would say good for you. You get to enjoy a lot more movies than I do. I wish I could, but I
I've
can't.
I've heard that. I've heard people who are really big into film. They have a really hard time
It's tough.
enjoying movies.
Yeah, there's a few movies that I will like, and there's a few movies that I like against all odds. I love the movie Grandma's Boy. It is a bad movie. It's not a good movie. It kind of makes sense, but it is like if you were to look at my film collection and be like, "What's Grandma's Boy doing here?" And be like, "Oh, that's the movie I watch right after I watch Clueless and Legally Blonde." Like it's a good movie. I enjoy it. It's not a good movie, but I enjoy the movie. But I would say, yeah, my as the more and more that I information I have about film and the filmmaking process and perspectives and stuff like that, the less films that I like, which is it sucks. It's not good.
It's kind of like knowing the formula takes out the mystique.
Yeah, I it's usually about at 15 minutes, 15 minutes into a movie, I can guess basically through the second act, and then usually by the second act, I can say one of like two possible endings. And again, like I'm sure my wife's a trooper, but I'm sure she hates it. They'll be like, "That's the bad guy. He's gonna take that thing and stab him in the neck in the end." And she'll be like, "How do you know that?" Be like, "Because they showed it. Like that you show it right now if it's gonna happen." Like it's this weird. It's a formula. It's an equation you just fill in once you get more and more information. I find it fun, but yeah. Anyway,
What is the strangest movie you have ever seen?
strangest movie I've ever seen. I have seen a lot of. So there are two movies that come to mind, and I like them both um, for different reasons. There's a movie called Hotline. No, that's Miami Connection. Miami Connection. I almost said Hotline Miami, which is a video game, a great video game. Miami Connection uh, is it's not really that strange so much as it is the perfect time capsule of a movie made in the vacuum that was the 80s and worth watching. I would say it's a good movie. Have a drink or whatever you use to relax yourself and watch it with at least one other person and have a good laugh. Like it's entertaining in a way that it was not intended.
I'm
The
looking
the other movie that I would say if you go for actual strangest movie, and you would have to watch the real version and none of the riff tracks or the other commentary versions, is Troll 2. Or is it Trolls 2? I can never remember if it's plural or not. I think it's Troll 2.
Troll 2.
Troll.
That's not.
It's Troll 2. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's not the cutesy little trolls that have just come out.
No. It is a movie from 1990. It was
comedy horror.
It was written and directed by a Italian director, written in that could only speak Italian, written in English, and then he insisted that the cast only say the lines verbatim as far as how they were written. So there's a lot of weird dialogue and weird plot devices. If you can make it through that movie, you deserve to then watch like all the other like riff tracks or like Mystery Science Theater versions that are out there, because there's a lot.
I'm looking it up. It sounds insane. Oh my god.
It's weird.
That is interesting. I've never heard of that.
Have you ever heard of The Room?
The Room. Okay, what's funny is when I looked up Miami Connection and Troll 2 and The Room popped up.
Oh, weird.
Suggestion. So
they're all the same movies in the sense that they're like, when you say the strangest movies, I think like movies that got made that like it's almost like against all odds. Like this movie is a complete movie, which is an accomplishment, and it's just like how did this happen? How is it possible that more than one person was involved and nobody stepped in and be like, stop? Doesn't make any sense. You got to stop. Like, that's what I consider a strange movie. And I would say all three of those movies are great examples of that. And all three are entertaining to watch, but again, not for the intended version or not for the intended reason.
That's the movie with Tommy Wiseau?
Yes. Yeah. That eventually the James Franco, cripes, what's the name of that movie? He did a movie about the making of that movie.
The Disaster Artist?
The Disaster Artist, yes. It was a book about the making of it, and then they made that movie, which is entertaining, but I would say not as entertaining as the actual movie. The actual movie is just so weird. It's so weird.
I'm fascinated about. Apparently, this dude is very private.
Very private, and supposedly has like just unlimited funds. He bankrolled that whole movie himself, and
what?
No idea.
I want to watch it now.
You should. You should watch it. If you have the time, you should watch it.
Well, Joe, what are some games you'd like to discuss? I to kind of. Is there anything you'd like? We've just had such a fascinating conversation, and I can't thank you enough. This is
I feel like I have to apologize. I feel like I've just ranted about nothing for 2 hours.
No, that's what I love about 1v1s. I honestly, my favorite thing is whenever it goes off the quote unquote script.
All right, as long as I fulfilled that part of it, that's good.
Well, I mean, people can find you on an Xbox, the Arsenal X and Xbox podcast.
Yes.
But I doubt they're gonna. You guys talk about a lot of the topics you and I just discussed.
We do. I drop a lot of F-bombs on that podcast. I caught myself listening to it most recently, like, I swear a lot, and I don't even realize that it's happening. Which is, I don't know if that's scary or not. So I'm a person, my taste in games have kind of evolved or morphed, and I play anymore. I play like the same handful of games. So like I am a big Halo fan. When the original Xbox came out, I got that system, and I basically read specs on that in the PlayStation 2 and was like, I'm gonna get an Xbox because it's more powerful. Like that was my justification as a kid. And when Halo came out, it like fulfilled that dream. Like this is the game I wanted. That replaced GoldenEye for us as kids, and we also expanded our group of 4. Now we can have 16 friends, or I can have 15 extra friends. It's when we started doing LAN parties, and like that game transitioned our Nintendo 64 era into more of a larger, inclusive setting of more people. It was a good time of my life. So I have such fond memories tethered to Halo, in addition to just playing the game. So I still play Halo. Like I still play the Master Chief Collection, and I play Halo 5. I'm very excited about the new Halo coming out. You can't see, but I have a bunch of Halo toys on the shelf behind me. Like I would say it's a significant part that, for whatever reason, has stuck with me through my life. I also have a weird obsession with helmets. I love helmets. I love space helmets. I love sci-fi helmets. I love all like old armor. When we went to New York and we got to go through like the armor part of the museum, oh, it was so exciting. I love seeing how people craft something that is designed to protect like a human being in a very specific environment, or like it's just such a neat idea of being like, okay, we can't do this with like as is. We gotta encase ourselves in something to help solve this problem. I love it. So like I love the Mandalorian because like everyone's wearing helmets. I get so excited. I have a Mandalorian helmet that I've been working on too, in addition to my master. I'm looking at them right now, and that's why I'm pointing.
Oh,
So I love helmets. So again, like it kind of fulfills, like it's like guy in a helmet never takes his helmet off, or you don't get to see what he looks like. I love that concept. I love helmets. I don't know why. It's definitely something that throughout time has like definitely I've grown fonder of my love of helmets, and I only see it getting worse as I get older. I have a list of helmets that I want to build. Love them.
oh my
Uh,
God, I want to see them one day. Do you ever post them on Twitter?
I Let me see. I don't think I have posted anything on Twitter. I think I might have maybe some. Excuse me. Some of them on Instagram, maybe. No, it's I'm very. I have a couple on there that I've started, but I'm very. I'm one of those people too that I don't like to post stuff unless I feel like it's done or it's good, which is not. I don't think the point of the internet in reality, but like I feel like everything has to be curated. They're like, oh, this is now it's completed, or it's perfect, or like it's only going to be impressive. That problem that we talked about earlier. Uh,
Oh,
I don't know. I don't. I'm gonna. I have to start. I have to start posting more of them on there. I think other people would get a kick out of them, or at the very least share progress and failures, um, which is what I preach but don't live by. So Halo, I still play a lot of Halo, and because of Halo, I am very good at first person shoot. I'm not very good. I'm above average. I will say I'm above average at first person shooters. So I play a lot of Destiny. I play a lot of Call of Duty. Call of Duty is what me and my work friends play every day when we're not working. So it's the good. It's funny when we transitioned out of the office, we would all sit in our cubicles and have headphones on and basically watch YouTube videos and not while we're not working. And now we are on an Xbox Live party chat pretty much all day talking back and forth while we're working. So we actually communicate more now than I think when we were actually in the office, which is weird. There's basically a party chat going all day, and we're just playing matches whenever we're not working. It's a good cycle for us. So we play a lot of Call of Duty. I feel like if I'm not at work though, I wouldn't be playing that game as much. Um, Outside of that, I mean, that's my like go-to loop of stuff. I played Cyberpunk for a little bit, but I'm gonna wait for the updates to finish out on the next gen consoles so I can play like a good version of it. Um, love Mass Effect. I love that game. Not a first person shooter, but a great game. It involves a lot of different helmet choices, so it ticks off that box for me. Uh,
were you on the History of Mass Effect episode?
I was not. So I had just started then, and then I didn't join that episode. But I played the game right before, like the month that everyone played it. But I really like that game. The first three, I like that game. And I like Fallout a lot. Again, I can get to put on helmets though, so that helps. I don't know. I feel this is the first time I've fully confessed of my love of helmets outside to anyone other than like my immediate family. So everyone knows now.
You
Right?
guys heard it here first.
Well, world's first. Love helmets. They're so interesting. I'm a
Do you ride?
sucker.
Do you ride motorcycles?
I don't. I own a motorcycle helmet though because I liked one and I bought it.
That's
And
awesome.
I don't own or ride a motorcycle though. Maybe someday. I feel like once I get, uh, if they come out with an electric bike that's affordable, I would consider getting an electric bike. I have a Cybertruck pre-ordered. That's my next go-to vehicle.
What? A Cybertruck? I'm looking this up.
You haven't seen a Cybertruck?
Uh,
Type in Tesla Cybertruck.
oh, I know. Okay, yes. I didn't know that's the name.
Oh yeah, that's actually the name of it.
Whoa.
Super weird car.
But it's weird, but I love it. It looks like something from an N64 game.
Yes, it looks like it does. It's like not enough polygons. It looks kind of like a warthog from Halo 2, which I enjoy.
That must be why you want it, right?
It's a few different things. I have always wanted a pickup truck. Since I've basically bought a house, maybe a little bit before that, but like I don't want a pickup truck that everyone else drives. I want it for the utilitarian purpose of transporting materials. I don't want a big truck. And like, have you ever priced out buying a pickup truck in your life?
Mm.
They're insanely expensive. I think if you price out anything that's like decent, like you're going to pay at least 65 to 80. I think $80,000. I think is the average price of a pickup truck, which to me is just insane. I want like a pickup truck that has like vinyl seats, vinyl floor, and like give me the bare bones pickup truck so that I can transport materials. Like make it as safe as it needs to be, but like I don't need a crew cab and then a fifth door and like I don't want any of that stuff. But that's the way that pickup truck goes. So, and I also don't want it to be my family all has pickup trucks and they all get like 14 miles to the gallon. They're just not fuel efficient at all.
Ooh.
So as soon as the Cybertruck came out, it solved all my problems. It's very utilitarian, and I think they start at $40,000. So
That's what it said. That's what it says right here.
So it's like, and it also has way more power than any other pickup truck. It's got a built-in air compressor. You can plug stuff like if you need to plug stuff in, it just has like outlets in it. Like solves every problem. It is a utility vehicle in its best form, and I don't know. I like it. So like as soon as that came out, I'm like, it looks weird. So any pickup truck people aren't gonna like how it looks, and it's like checks off all my boxes. So I was very excited when stuff like that comes out. I love utility things. And then when you have utility things that can add a flair of like design that's kind of built into the utility version of it, even better. Again, I think that kind of goes into the helmet aspect. I think helmets are always like their purpose influences their aesthetics more than the aesthetics influences their purpose. So I always like to say like we have to start out with this form factor to solve this problem, and then it just kind of looks like whatever the problem is that it solves. And I love that. Love it.
They look okay. So you have one pre-ordered, you said?
Yeah, I'm sure you can still do it, but like you can get basically you put some money down and you get on like the waiting list. It's a way for Tesla to get an interest-free loan from a bunch of people at once. But I'm bought in. I'm fine with it. You can have my money.
Well, please let us know when you get it.
So I think if I were to guess, especially after what happened this year, I'm probably not getting one for another year or two. I think I was supposed to get one at the end of 2021, and I think that's probably now pushed to like mid 2022.
Gotcha.
So again, it's fine. I'm not in a rush. I'm not going anywhere. The car that I have right now, I don't drive, but like maybe once every couple weeks. So
Wow. I don't know how. I clicked on. Of course, I clicked on Cybertruck, and now I'm clicking on Elon Musk, and I'm just.
Yeah, I just you go down a rabbit hole far enough, you'll find something
He's
off-putting or don't like about something.
well, it's just fascinating to me that someone can get to that level that he is.
I like the fact that he's someone that there's a lot of reasons that you might not like Elon Musk, and that's fine. I like the fact that he's looking at problems that the world has and putting smart people in place to potentially solve those problems. I think that's admirable. I think that he is intelligent based on the fact that he knows to find the smartest person about that subject and kind of like have them on his team. That's what I like about Elon Musk.
I mean, you can't argue he's one of the most influential people of our lifetime.
Very influential. He's as close as we're gonna get to a Tony Stark right now.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think of it that way.
Another helmet I love.
It is a cool helmet. That is an awesome
A lot
helmet.
of cool Iron Man helmets.
I know that Elon Musk is dating Grimes.
Yeah, they have a kid.
Yeah, I think they
It's
just
it's like a bunch of letters and symbols or something is its name.
something like that. Uh, she's my age or so, I think. She's a year older than I am. But oh my gosh, now I'm on this rabbit hole. I gotta stop.
Yeah. That's how what do they call those magazines get started? Celebrity magazines. Exactly what's happening right now. Wonder what that person's up to. Oh, they're married to this person. Oh, they have a kid. What's the baby look like?
Oh my gosh. Well, Joe, is there anything that you'd like to add to what we've discussed?
Man, I don't know. If anyone has any questions, they can ask me on Twitter. I'll answer them. I don't care. No, I don't know. This is fun. I'm glad it was an open-ended discussion. I hope I didn't bore anyone or you.
No, this was
Uh,
fascinating. I wouldn't do these if I didn't want to do them.
it's good.
I'd be,
Yeah.
I'd
This
be
is
like, Corey, you do your own dang 1v1.
that was good. No, I don't really have anything to add. I will start streaming one of my resolutions. I'm going to be doing it more again, like I used to. So have everything set up. So starting the new year, that'll be a new way to interact with me.
What is the meaning behind your name, Colonel Panic?
So a kernel panic is a like an unsolvable or unresolvable error on a computer operating system, mostly on a Linux system. So I used to work at the Apple Store. We would run into kernel panics all the time. You have to check the logs. So I always thought that kernel panic sounded like a name, like a villain's name. So whenever I decided to start streaming, me and a buddy of mine were like going back and forth between names, and I didn't want my previous name was Joe Wilson's War, and although it's fine, I just didn't want like it to be my name for some reason. I was like, I just don't want it to be like my full name. It just feels weird. And then I finally was like, I'm gonna finally get to use Kernel Panic. And then I kind of added some leet speak in there so it looked like code, which oddly enough makes it really difficult to say it on any of the podcasts. Anytime they're like, where can we find you? I'm like, just check your show notes and so you can click on my name if you want to find me. I'm not gonna try to spell it out. But so that's where it came from. Whenever I worked at the Apple Store, I always thought there was Kernel Panic and then Aluminium Man, because everything was made out of aluminum. So those were the two things that I had. I just had an opportunity, so I took it. I don't know. It's not really the most interesting story, but it is a true one.
I love it. I had no idea. I was like, this is a really cool name. I just thought it was something with video games and the military. I had no idea it
So
was really.
yeah, it's I would say not either is entirely wrong, So you can make the assumption of any of those and you would kind of be right. Like video games still, like kernel panic is still applicable. If you talk to anybody that codes, they're going to know what a kernel panic is. I also thought it was kind of fitting for me. But yeah, every time I bring up to Corey, I'm like, should I change my name so it's easier? And he's like, I love your name. Keep it. And I'm like, okay.
If you change it, you're not allowed to be on the Boss Rush network.
I'm not going to change it. I feel like there's been enough discussion around it now that I can't go back on it. I can't change it now.
I like it. It's cool. In case anybody is curious, I will spell it out for you. Okay. Capital K, the number 3, capital R, capital N, capital L, and then the word panic.
Panic spelled exactly how you would expect to spell panic.
Oh, well, thank you so much for making time. I know we didn't talk about video games all that much, but frankly, I kind of liked the tangents.
That's all right. I talk about video games every week anyway, so it's a welcome change of pace.
Is there anything else you'd like to add for listeners to know?
I got nothing. Find me on Twitter. You can. I feel like if you scroll through my Twitter, you get a pretty good, accurate representation of the type of person that I am.
I saw you posted about nachos, and I got really excited.
Oh man, I have several loves in my life that are food and beverage related. I love nachos. I like tacos, but I like it when this goes into my tweet. I love it when Taco Tuesday transitions into nachos, usually on Saturday. Today we had tacos, and I have leftovers, which means I'm gonna make nachos out of them later. Love pizza. I make my own pizza every Friday. Love pizza. I like a good bourbon. Not as much anymore, but I still like a good bourbon. And you know what else? I don't drink them very often, but every time I see one, man, it's hard to pass up a Dr. Pepper when I see one. I like Dr. Pepper too. Those are my food loves.
Well, how do you make your pizza?
I'm a purist when it comes to pizza. So I'll be honest, I don't make my own sauce, but I make my own dough. And usually then I freeze it so they're like thaw out pretty much all day Friday during the day. So when I get up Friday morning, I set up pizza dough out, a little olive oil on top so it doesn't dry out. But the end of the day comes, it's fine to be pounded out. I use this sauce that I found at Target, and eventually maybe I'll make a resolution to figure out a way to make my own sauce too. But then I'm only a step away from making my own cheese, and I'm not going to do that. Not going to make my own cheese. So I do this. It's like a margarita sauce, but it tastes very like tomatoey. It's almost like tomato soup type sauce. It's very plain, and I like it. So I do the sauce. I get the big ball of mozzarella, rip it up into shreds, put that on top, do a little Parmesan, a little bit of basil, olive oil on top, throw it in the oven for like 5 minutes at 550 on a stone. Comes out, and it is delicious. And if you really pay attention to every bite, you can taste each like element. You can taste the crust, then you can taste the sauce, and then you can taste the cheese. And that is the perfect pizza. And I'm sorry, there are 2 types of pizza in this world, plain and pepperoni. You can put whatever you want on it. It's fine. I'm not going to judge you for that. But if I was choosing, like, those are the only 2 types that I would have. I don't eat meat, though, so it's just plain for me from now on. Love plain pizza. If you have a piece of plain pizza, you can decide whether or not that's good pizza. Doesn't matter what crap you put on top of it after that.
I want pizza now.
I can't wait. So Pizza Friday, we're not doing it on Friday because Friday is New Year's. So we'll have some sort of New Year's dinner, I'm sure. So Pizza Friday is probably going to be Pizza Thursday, which means I'm only like 1 day away. It's exciting.
I'm looking up all the sauces at Target.
It's I'll find it and I will send you a link to it. But it's a very runny. It seriously just tastes like smashed tomatoes. I think it's got like tomatoes and carrots in it. It's delicious.
It sounds so good.
It's really good.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to let us get to know you better.
Hey, thanks for having me, and thanks for not making me feel awkward.
I was worried I would.
Oh.
I was worried.
I was worried that I would make it feel awkward, and I did. I didn't feel awkward, so I'm okay.
Oh no, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoy these, and I think it's really important to have 1v1s with everybody on Boss Rush because I think it's cool to let people's light shine.
I agree. I started listening to the back catalog of them today. I don't know how far back they go, but I've enjoyed them all. I think so far that I've listened to, and it's I don't know. It is nice just like get like that one person's like let them talk. They're not being interrupted by anybody else or anything like that. I don't know. I like it.
I like it too. And you are welcome to do some if there are people you want to reach out to, by the way.
Oh, maybe I will. What if I get Elon Musk to do it?
I mean, I'm not going to stop you.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Corey, write it down.
Tell me about your baby. About
Oh,
your young wife. How does that work?
oh my God. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Again, you can find Joe at Colonel Panic. Oh, I think it has an underscore on your
Just on Twitter.
I just realized.
Extra complicated.
But you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, Boss Rush Games. We have our 1v1 series, again, that is part of the Arsenal Xbox podcast. And also, we're going to Tyler Casual and Destiny podcast. So be sure to check those out. But until next time, see you guys later.